Good morning to you, Congressman. You're on the Energy and Commerce Committee, and this just drives me crazy. What do you make of this mad dash to green energy, while at the same time encouraging the Saudis to pump more oil?
Yeah, well, they're pandering to a very radical environmentalist base. You know, it's a small portion of the population, but that's who they believe has power in Democrat politics. So I think that's the political reason why they do it. Deeper than that, even there is some strange obsession, almost a religious-like obsession with a wind and solar only future. They believe these are the only things that are clean and proper for Americans to use as energy. Meanwhile, admitting fully that you need more oil production because they go beg the Saudis to do it. Meanwhile, they make it very difficult for our producers to invest in it. You know, on estimates would say you need about $225 billion more of investment in upstream production if you're going to meet our demand in the future. And we're not even close to that. And that's because they've added 30 regulations. They've canceled pipelines. They won't approve leases. They speak out of both sides of the mouth. They say we need more oil production, but we also need to stop having oil and gas in this country over the next 5 to 10 years. So obviously you're not going to do $1 billion of investment when you need to.
Right. All right, I'm going to get into this issue now. The mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, he wants federal money to handle the influx of asylum seekers that are being bussed in from Texas and Arizona. That's just, it looks like liberal cities getting a taste of what the border towns deal with every day, right?
Yeah, it's good to see. And they're complaining about only a couple thousand. I think there was a similar story from the D.C. mayor who was complaining about 2,000 illegal immigrants who are just here to look for asylum. Now, first of all, she has no way of knowing that. All right, I think she's making that up. But let's say there's 2,000. There's 4,000 crossings a day at the Texan southern border. So she gets half of that in her city over a long period of time. That's what our southern border counties are dealing with daily, except double. So it's really disingenuous. They're making it seem like, you know, Abbott sent them there. First of all, the buses that did go to some of these cities that Abbott paid for and sent there, those were volunteers. They wanted to go to those cities. Whether Abbott sent them there or they were going to get there on their own, they were going to end up there. Look, it just goes to show this is a national problem.
Right.
Every state is a border state, but especially Texas.
And before I run out of time, speaking of the border, Congressman, very quickly, you're introducing a bill, I understand, that would allow longer custody of migrant minors. How does that work?
All right, so you have to go back in time. So there's something called the Flores settlement that created a lot of these problems and these waves of immigration caravans since 2014, because this particular court settlement says you can't hold a family unit or an unaccompanied minor past 72 hours. Which is what causes catch and release. There's no way to hold somebody to adjudicate their claim, to figure out what's going on, whether they have an asylum case or not. And so you have to let them go and hope that they show up for a court date. And so you have to tackle the asylum system itself, which I've done in another bill. But on the Flores case, you simply have to extend that 72-hour period to 120 days. It doesn't force you to keep people for 120 days. It just says that Border Patrol can. And that's really important for the adjudication process.
Right.
We also require DNA testing so that adults can't just traffic kids across and say, well, that's my child, you have to take my word for it. No, there has to be DNA testing.
Right.
And we also acknowledge the fact that the vast majority of these minors crossing are 16, 17-year-old males.
Yep.
And so it gives the commissioner authority to say, look, if you're affiliated with a gang or a transnational criminal organization, you get treated as an adult, not a minor.
Very good. Congressman, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Best of luck with that bill.